Strategy 4. Take charge of your time.
Okay, you're back at the theme park and you've convinced yourself, yes, this is something I'm going to do. But you look at that line and you instantly realize this is going to be a huge commitment of time. And I'm up for it, you say, but you have to think about the other people in your group too, your family or the other people you came to the water park with. So they'll be impacted by your decision too, right? So it's the same thing in business. You need to have a plan for your time. In addition to investing a significant amount of money in your new venture, you're certainly going to invest a significant amount of time. And time is what I like to refer to as the overlooked investment. You know, it's interesting. You can always raise more money. You can borrow money. You can't raise more time. And you can't borrow time, especially as an individual, which is what we're talking about here. Each of us has 24 hours in every day, and we spend each of those 24 hours every single day. At the end of the day, they're gone. You can't roll them over. They're just gone. So it's very important to have a plan for how you're going to invest your time. So while you can't make more time, you can plan your time better. And since time is a finite resource, your plan has to take into account your personal time and your business time. So it's important to take into account who else will be impacted by your time plan. You want to start with a realistic vision of how much time it's going to take for your new business. And the answer to that is usually more than you thought it was going to take. Strategic time plan. When creating a time plan, I'm not talking about having every minute of every day allocated. That's just not realistic. Rather, let's talk about 3 broad areas of planning your time. I'd like to encourage you to list 4 or 5 things in each of these areas that's appropriate for you. So the first of these categories is what I'm willing to give up. And here you would list the things that you currently do that take up your time that you'd be willing to give up to allocate more time to your business. So the first one might be your current job. You're going to get 40 or 50 hours or whatever that might be right here. List the other things you're going to stop doing so you can have more time for your business. Think about the things that don't really add to the quality of your life. That way you'll actually end up with a net gain. Less time spent on things that don't add to the quality of life and more time spent for your business, which is supposed to be adding to the quality of your life. Next, what you're not willing to give up. This next category is very, very important. List the things that are most important to you. You're going to be tempted to stop doing everything, and I can assure you that if you don't have some forethought about the things you're not willing to give up, you're going to end up building some resentment toward your new business. And if you don't have that resentment yourself, I guarantee you the people around you will. I'll give you an example. One entrepreneur told me he had coached his son's soccer team for the last couple of years, and he really enjoyed that time and wanted to continue doing it, but he didn't think it was going to work out when he started his new business because of how much time it was going to take. Well, in talking through how he'd feel if he gave that up, how his son would feel, well, of course it was real clear to him that it was important to find a way to continue coaching his son's team. So this needed to go on his list of things that he wasn't willing to give up. So you need to think in this way. If you really make a commitment to the things that are most important in your life, make a commitment to keeping those things, you can generally find the time somewhere else. That's what having this kind of plan is all about. Now, the third category is kind of fun. I call it gifts of time. You know, when you start your own business, you generally have a lot less time than you used to have, but you also have a lot more flexibility. Use this flexibility to your advantage to build in some gifts of time that you currently don't have. What are some things you might not have been able to do when you were working the same hours, the same days, every day of the week that you do now? Well, for me, for example, that was getting on a fitness plan. When I was in my own business, I can do the things I want to do. I have some flexibility. I put in plenty of hours, but I take a couple of mornings every week and commit that time to fitness because I have that flexibility. Now, maybe I work later on those days, but that's okay. I feel good, and then I associate those things I'm able to do with my happiness about owning my own business. So when you look at the big picture here, you've given up some things that you really weren't getting any additional quality of life from. You've recommitted to do the things that matter most to you, and you've actually added some things that you can do because of your more flexible schedule. And that's a great way to look at planning your time and investing time in your business. Now let's talk about a tactical time plan. Again, we're not trying to get into planning how you spend every single minute of every single day, but I'd simply like to highlight that there are a number of categories of investments for your time to be thinking about. So the first one, of course, is administrative things. Everybody has to do administrative tasks. Pay the bills, make your bank deposits. Hopefully that takes a lot of your time. Keeping the books. These are things that just have to be done. And because they have to be done, some entrepreneurs use this as an excuse not to do other things that are even more important, like production and delivery. Okay, in a retail business, you buy things from someone else, you sell them to your customers, and that's it. In other businesses, there's the production or the making of the goods and services that you sell. In a consulting business, selling might be the beginning, and then you have to deliver on the services that you've sold. So your time plan has to take into account the production and delivery requirements of whatever your business might be. Team building. Team building is another important category. It's easy to overlook. Your people will feel that if you overlook it. And eventually you'll end up losing good people because you haven't invested enough time in team building or invested with your professional relationships with your top employees. Marketing. Well, there's marketing and prospecting. We'll put these two together. And that's thinking about the customers that you're going to have a month from now or 6 months from now or a year from now. If you don't invest your time in developing those future customers, when the future gets here, the customers might not be there. So you have to invest time in building future customers. Selling. Selling is huge. Selling is the lifeblood of your business. Every day you have to take care of customers and think about ways to get new customers. Take action on it. Your entire business depends on continuously selling. And we're going to talk a lot more about that in Strategy 5, so I'll leave it here. Customer relationships, another key investment of time. You can't overlook this. We're talking about investing in your relationships with current customers to endear them to you and make sure that they don't switch their business to another competitor. And then the last category I always encourage entrepreneurs to save time for, I simply call it getting smarter. Taking a class, going to a seminar, going and checking out a competitor or another business, anything that you can do to make yourself smarter or more likely to be successful as a business person. It's not only going to help you enjoy your business, it's going to help you to develop and grow as an individual and as a business owner. This one is so easy to ignore, so easy to convince yourself that you don't have time to do this because you're just so busy. But you know, if you ever go into a business that was there when you were a kid, and there's the same guy who owns the business, just looking like an older and more tired version of himself. He's working late, doing the same things he was doing when you were in there 20 years ago. That's the guy who never found time to get smarter. Now, credit to this guy for still being in business, but it's too bad he's still working so hard. There is a better way. He just never allocated time to find it. Have a plan for managing your time. All of the things that we've just gone through might seem obvious, but the trouble with entrepreneurs, people who start their own businesses, and I see it over and over, is they don't have a time plan that includes all of the essential aspects of running their business. Instead, they retreat to the activities that they're comfortable with, and they shy away from the ones that they're not so comfortable with. It's human nature, but it's not going to help you grow your business. So while you can't carve out time for each of these categories every single day, that's a given, make sure that you carve out time for each of these things, hopefully at least every week. Track your time if you can, and you'll quickly see where you're over and under investing your time. Are you really paying attention to how you allocate your time in each one of these categories? If you do, over the long haul, it'll make a big difference. Well, speaking of managing time, it's time for us to move on to the next strategy.